And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. You have reached the most recent installment of the Mecca of Banter. I am your host this week, Hoove, young yet on Twitter. Since the the break in the Premier League is over, I'm active as ever. Maybe too active. It's maybe a problem. That's all I did today and yesterday and the day before that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Prem, and I brought my good friends with me. Winks, checking in on North London. How are we doing today?
What's up, gentlemen? Good to see you. Yeah, I think you kind of said it, Premier League's back and it was so fun to, watch as many of the games as I could this weekend and just like have that consume so much of my weekend. Henry and I were at a wedding yesterday all day, and so kind of had to watch the back half of the Arsenal game from the car and missed the very, very end, but obviously excited by the result and by the result of some of the other games as well, which I know we'll touch on. Those who shall not be named yet, but it's really good to see you guys and to have the Premier League kind of consume an episode for the first time in a while outside of the preview last week.
Definitely, the Premier League being back it feels so right. Like just Saturday, Sunday mornings, like getting that cup of coffee, just laying down on the couch. There's nothing quite like the spectacle that is 10 a.m. screaming at your TV. Henry, checking in. What's going on over there,
brother? That is so accurate. There's nothing quite like it. It's great, bro. It's great. First off, Hoover, what the new background for those of you who are watching on the YouTube? Hoover's in his house.
New digs. Bought a house. Don't have a setup. If you look carefully, you can see me in the mirror behind me. So we're gonna work on this. This is a work in progress, but yes, new digs.
Home ownership. That Mecca money's doing wonders.
Yeah.
Thank you to Manscaped.
Manscaped funded this house.
Yes. No, I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I'll tell you what, having the opening game of the Premier League season can be nerve-wracking because obviously like a lot of people are watching it. There's no other games on it at that time. And in winning that game, all 3 points makes the rest of the weekend so much more enjoyable to watch because you have no stress. You have no fear. You already know your team won and you can just hate watch everyone else. So I'm excited to talk United. Excited to be here.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you guys as always. Before we get too far into it, ladies and gentlemen, it's my it's my pleasure to announce yet again that Smooth Sack Summer is here. It's not upon us anymore. It's here. When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bun. Thanks to my friends over at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer, Mecca, our exclusive offer. Get 20% off when you get, and free shipping at manscaped.com, but make sure you use the code MECCA20. Again, MECCA20. Summertime and the trimming is easy. That sure was just cold read on the ad read, and I should have looked at that prior to just going for it. But
I think you crushed it, and I think that per usual, it's all right. It's all correct, and I continue to use the ball conditioner like it's my job, almost more so than this podcast.
It's really, dude, the easiest product to advertise and rep because again. We really do trust it. That was one of the first things out of the DAP kit in the new shower at the new house. So keep those things on us.
Yeah, he was ready. Man was ready.
So, and then, the little old team from St. Louis did play last week. Yeah. We covered the small intro of it. It was happening that night. It was Monday night, right? Or
it was Monday or Tuesday. I don't remember which.
Because we were gearing up to watch Club America versus St. Louis City in the round of 16 in the League's Cup. They got bounced. Now, we don't need to spend too much time on it. We're Team U.S. Open Cup guys on this podcast, but there are some things to be said about the performance itself and what the team looked like as a whole. I know Henry and I watched it. Winks caught some too. Henry, just give your quick thoughts. What do you think about it?
Yeah. No, obviously every game that you play, you want to win. So for first things first, we want to win that game. But I want to call everyone back to last year. We played Club America at home. It was one of the worst games I've ever watched. We got spanked 4-0. It was a really humbling moment on us thus for our really successful season last year. No team had done that to us, and we didn't even get a sniff on the field. It was bad. And then you look at this game that we had last week, and for all intents and purposes, St. Louis held their own. At one point in the game, we were up 2-1. We bounced back after giving up an initial goal with 2 really good goals. We had a pretty unfortunate injury to Cedric, which to be honest with you, I haven't spent much time on the Twitter sphere. I don't know if he's good to go for Portland this weekend or not. But anytime you have one of your key signings coming off in the 35th minute, not great. But Vasilev repaid not only Hackworth, but also the fans with a goal later in the game. And that's really all you can ask for. Surprisingly, coming off of like a 4-2 loss in this, now, granted, the 4th goal was like a clusterfuck at the end. Berkey was up in the attacking box, like open net. Who cares? So even losing that game 3-2, honestly, I wasn't too disappointed with it. I thought that we did a lot of things really well. I think where we lost the game was just the difference in quality. I think some of those Club America guys, if you go up like individual for individual, they just match up better than the St. Louis City team does. But the front 4 were firing again. For St. Louis City, Thor missed that wide open shot, point blank, which I don't know how you missed that, but he did.
Dude,
but there's a lot of great things to take away from the game, and you never want to lose. But I think throughout the League's Cup, we did put in some really great performances, and there's just a lot to build on. So I was really optimistic, even coming off of this loss, which normally I am not optimistic coming off of a loss. But we have. Hopefully some time for those guys to rest and recover. I know a lot of them are like actually off on vacation right now, enjoying themselves, and who knows what'll happen this upcoming weekend against Portland. But hopefully we see Klaus, hopefully we see Alm. No one knows. But I think Klaus has his work cut out for him kind of getting in the team above Betcher right now, because Simon's been great. He's been awesome. He's doing all the things that Klaus isn't doing. And the number one thing he's doing that Klaus isn't is being healthy. So, the best ability is availability, and I think Simon Betcher is doing a great job of it. So those are my initial thoughts after the game, and even a week later, I still feel the same way of just like, yeah, it sucks that we lost, but there's a lot of really positive things to build off of, and if we bring that performance against Portland this weekend, we'll cruise. We'll be great.
I think for 75 minutes of that game, we would have played any MLS team off the park. Like it was really, really impressive. The guys looked like they were playing for the badge. Like,
yeah,
they wanted it. They knew the quality they were up against. I think we saw it in Jade Reed and Totland. Like, those guys were outmatched. There was no way around it, and I don't fault them really at all. Like, I think they're both the best that we have currently on our position. We'll see what Horn does and comes in on the left side eventually, but like, those were the 2 guys that I would have put on the pitch too. So for them to just get rolled over, it's just, like you said, evident of the quality of Club America. But again, like, I think I was so gutted because they looked good. Like, they performed so well, and they put in an unbelievable shift. If Lowen's header goes in that 89th minute, we're talking about we're going to pens, no question. So, he absolutely balled. It's so good to see him, start to motor in the middle there, and he's figured it out a little bit with Hartle. Hartle was again, contributing, not necessarily with a goal or an assist, but drawing the penalty in a great run that Lowen was always going to find. The individual moments were so exciting, and it was so much fun to have that kind of back. But I'm glad they're off. I'm glad it's done. Yeah. My biggest concern, I told my dad, he was like, well, what do you think about Club America? These guys played us off the park last year. And I was like, I want no one to get hurt. That's my main objective for what I'm looking forward to. And of course, said he did. So not sure at all what that looks like. Haven't seen much. Been pretty consumed with the Premier League, not gonna lie. But yeah, this break's good for everyone. Winks, toothpins, two thoughts.
No, I think you guys kind of hit it all on the head. Was definitely a way different game than the last time we played them. Wasn't at the game this time, so I can't fully speak for, the kind of atmosphere, whether it felt like a home game or an away game. But I think I don't know. I don't know if it was us like learning from the last time we played them and just playing them differently or not. But playing a team that is significantly better than us in most ways in general. I think this second time playing them, I think that we did do a much better job overall.
Could have
Totally.
And I think it's progress. And I also love, even though we got bashed the first game, I also love that we get opportunities to play teams like that.
Yeah.
Because obviously, this season isn't the best, show of character, but you get better by playing better competition. You don't by playing, teams that you crush every time. So I think that these kind of games are good for us to play against, stronger, faster, better vision having, players all around. So
Totally.
Yeah. Could have sat in a low block and tried to spring a counter too, which is what I would imagine most MLS teams would do against Club America. And we were toe to toe. Hackworth had some balls on him. He was like, "Nope, we're gonna take it to him."
Did the high pressing. It's
great.
Forced a lot of turnovers. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was what we've kind of come to know from that team. But moving on, the Premier League again, like the fourth time I've said, I think did start this weekend. We are that excited about it. We won't shut up about it. United got to kick it off at home against Fulham in, what I would call not a super entertaining game, but a lot of preseason, a lot of summer break stuff. Guys are getting their legs. 1-0 win over Fulham at home via Joshua Xerxes, the new signing with United, and I know Hen is pretty gassed about it. So feel free, take it away, brother.
Yeah, gas. So I think one of the things that is spot on that you said is, it's the first game. Not everyone's at full fitness. But if you think back, like till at the end of last year, like how important would 3 points be at the end of the season? Like when you just need those in a title race or a top four race or like a European race, like just gaining 3 points even when you play poorly is super important. So the fact that United pulled out all 3 points instead of just settling for one or dropping points is really important here. And I don't want to lose that in this, that gaining 3 points when you play poorly is so vital at every step of the occasion. So we scored. We scored a goal to win 1-0, which was great. We got to see the debuts for Mazraoui. He had his full debut. Went straight to the starting 11, which is a product of a couple of injuries. Aaron Wan-Bissaka got dealt to West Ham earlier in the week, and so Mazraoui went straight to the starting 11. Mazraoui was awesome. He was calm, cool, and collected on the ball. Had some great link-up play. He's everything that Wan-Bissaka isn't going forward, and he even had some really nice defensive plays, which is what Wan-Bissaka got celebrated for all the time. He made one really last ditch effort in the box with a slide tackle that stopped probably what would have been a goal. So I was really pleased with his performance. Harry Maguire played really well. Now, with Harry Maguire, you do have to play different defensively. You can't play a high line. He doesn't have the speed to make up that distance. But if you're defending on the edge of your own box, which is what we did a lot of the times, he put in a really great shift. He hardly put a pass wrong. It was good to see. I don't think that he needs to be our starting center back, but I don't mind him being fourth or fifth choice center back. Good for us. And Lisandro Martinez had a great game after getting torched by Traore, the first one-on-one duel he went up against him with, and then dealt with him the rest of the game, which was really good to see. But yeah, I think the story is seeing Xerxes come off the bench. We didn't get to see him at all in preseason. Part of that was because he was recovering from the Euros, but then he didn't play in the Community Shield, which was very interesting to me. We instead played with Bruno at the 9. So it was really odd, and we kind of did the same thing this game. I thought Xerxes was going to start, but came off the bench and, was linking play quite well. Of course, he gets the goal. That's what's going to be talked about. But did a really great job of holding up the ball, combining After he scored, there was probably 2 minutes later that he, held the ball up under pressure, combined with Bruno on a quick 1-2, and just switched the field and just relieved all the pressure. And I was like, that's just really good to see. Love to see that. Garnacho coming off the bench changed the game. Ahmad played really well. So it's building blocks. I wasn't going to say it's a vintage United performance and where we set the world ablaze, but I was pleased with what I saw and happy with the debuts. Happy seeing De Ligt come on. There's just some positivity to go around. There's still some things that we need to fix for sure. We need to get sharper. We need to figure out who's going to be the starting wingers. I want to see Xerxes start next game before Højlund comes back. Like, I don't think playing with Bruno or Rashford as the 9 works. But then again, it's like, what do you do with Mason Mount then? Like, you don't throw him out on the wing and maybe he just comes off the bench. I don't know. It's not my problem to figure out. I want to see Xerxes starting. So really gassed that we won against Fulham. It very well could have been a different story if there wasn't a couple of tackles or saves that Onana made. So that's the big thing. Sounds like we're in the process of dealing Scott McTominay, who, as Hoover can confirm, Dobes wants at least $85 million for Scott McTominay before he feels comfortable letting him go. No, but in all seriousness, we still have a little bit of business to do in the next 10 days or so before the window closes. The biggest rumor that we have is Manuel Ugarte from PSG. We've tried a couple of times to get him on a permanent transfer. It hasn't worked. And news as of about an hour and a half ago is that we're going to look to do a loan with the obligation to buy. And that's what it looks like it's probably going to be. We'll hopefully get some news on that over the coming days, but we desperately need some depth in the midfield engine room. And hopefully he can provide that in a good way, because Casemiro can't do it by himself the whole season.
I'm going to read a text that you sent me at 3:35 p.m. mid-game. Quote,
oh, God, what'd I say?
Xerxes has done fuck all.
Oh, yeah, bro.
That's true. Man, it's interesting that you said he was linking play really well. I thought he had like 7 touches. Like,
so it was interesting. It's like but literally before he scored, he had like literally no touches. He scored, and it was the way he like created space for the goal was he dropped in super deep, Harry Kane-esque, if you will. Whoa, we'll throw that out there. It was kind of interesting. Like, before he came to United, like, people always described him as like a 9.5. Like, he's not really a 9. He's not really a 10. He plays in like the 9.5 space, which I'm like, whatever. But then that goal that he created literally was that he like drifted way deep, got the ball on an outlet, swung it out wide, and then drifted into the box. And with the silkiest touch of his left boot, just
it was a good finish,
guided it into the goal. And then after that, it just looked like he was playing with the world of confidence. I mean, granted, he scored in the 80-something minute, but like the next 10 minutes or so, he was linking up play. He was relieving pressure. He was. It looked like maybe the guys trusted him a little bit to fire balls into him, and he was just doing what he did. So, he did fuck all before scoring that goal, and that is a time-stamped text. You can go back and figure what minute of the game it was, and then he scored. Yeah,
dude,
gassed.
It can't be left unsaid, but Garnacho's miss.
Oh yeah, bro,
dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
Puskas winner 1 year, Andy Hoover in 8th grade with his left foot another year.
Yeah,
like.
Well, the thing is that's crazy is like, fortunately we didn't need that goal to win the game. Fortunately. But, like, it's just a calamity of errors on that. I mean, Rashford's pass should have been better. I couldn't believe that Rashford passed. I would have bet my mortgage on him shooting there. And he probably would have missed it, and I probably would have been sitting here being like, what an idiot. But he passed it. But it was a bad pass. It was a bouncing ball. It was behind him. But even still, like, you have it in your locker to, like, receive a ball that's played behind you, drag it across your body, and score. Like, I couldn't believe that. Unfortunately, we didn't give up a goal immediately after. That would have been very, very United of last year to miss a wide open chance like that and then get scored on. So overall, like, we're going into Brighton this weekend, which Brighton's always going to be a challenge, especially with them being fully fit now. Last year, they were injury plagued beyond belief. Like a lot of teams were, but Brighton specifically were really injury plagued. They had a good performance over the weekend, so it's going to be a really tough game against them. We're playing, at their home, so it's an away game for us. We got to show up. We gotta make it happen. Like I said, hopefully Xerxes starts, and we get to see a good battle there. But Mason Mount's going to have to come off the bench. You're not going to drop Casemiro or Manu. Bruno's definitely not going to get dropped. So Mason Mount should be coming off the bench. And for me, I'd start Garnacho and Ahmad.
Mason,
I don't think it'll happen, but yeah.
He was
maybe it'll be the exact same starting lineup. Who knows? But yeah,
they should pay us because we know better than them.
Yeah,
that's me.
Get my contract. Maybe I'll start petitioning to be the next Chelsea manager. Like it's like a pretty low stress job. You only get to do it for like 4 months, and then you get paid for 2 years. Like
no one makes it till
nice
Christmas.
Contract job.
No one makes it to the end of the year. Seems pretty decent, frankly. Yeah, we actually don't have a national men's team coach because Chelsea owes their last one money for him to even get out of his contract. Dude. So classic.
Yeah, classic.
Arsenal beat Wolves 2-0 at the Emirates. Your host here did not see much of that. He was moving into the house, but he also probably wouldn't have watched it if he was on his couch. So, Winks, why don't you take us through that one? The Gunners.
I appreciate that.
Starting out strong.
Yeah, we did. Similar to Hen, I think like the first game of the season is a statement game all around. Definitely think there was opportunity for us to win by more than 2, but overall super happy with our performance. I think David Raya is going to win another Golden Glove this year. Early pick for that.
Gag me.
Gross.
Thanks to our back line as well. But no, I think with that being said, a couple thoughts. Arteta needs to figure out the left back position. Henry and I were talking about this on our way to the wedding on Saturday. Problem is right now we've got 4 of them, and Zinchenko. Henry said this, and I kind of agree. I think that there's an opportunity to loan out Kiwior, but outside of him, the 3 that would, be getting the most time between the 4 of them, Zinchenko's the worst. Not terrible, just obviously older and a lot slower defensively. I think any of us would rather have Calafiori or Timber starting in that spot. So we'll kind of see what he did there. But my thought process was that Zinchenko started this game because it was against Wolverhampton. I think we definitely see, and I think the fact that he brought on Timber at the end of that game means that he'll probably get the start against Villa. My prediction, and then maybe Calafiori comes on, sometime in the second half, potentially, seeing how the game's going and how Timber is fitness-wise. But I think that left-back position needs to get sorted out. I thought we needed to buy a striker in the summer. We don't.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
Kai, I think Kai's like settled in really well, and him scoring this first game, like no banter, but him scoring in the first game of the year and knowing how kind of his form was in the back half of last year. I'm very happy. He's definitely not that giant hold-up player that we kind of imagined us having since Giroud left, but we've learned to kind of play with him up top in this sort of like roaming style with back post runs kind of thing that he does. He had 5 shots on goal, which is, in a perfect world, he's scoring as many as he's taking on target with the positions he's taking the shots from in a lot of instances. But nonetheless, having your striker getting shots and getting them on target is a big deal for me. Different circumstances in a game of inches, a couple more of those could have gone in. But I thought he played very well positionally. Odegaard played phenomenal. Saka played phenomenal. I think Saka's going to have an absolutely killer season. I still wish we would get a right winger in the next 10 days or so, so that he doesn't have to play every single game this season. But he looked phenomenal. And outside of getting a right winger, I think, in the next 10 days, I thought we possessed the ball very well like we usually do, but I think we still need a midfielder in addition to Odegaard and Rice. Thomas Partey's fine. He's, who knows when he's going to get hurt.
Or go to
I thought
jail.
He played pretty well. It just...
There it is. I was like, there's a pretty big thing looming.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's like outside of what is going on with him outside of the club. You get that feeling with players at your club sometimes that their time on the team is just like coming to an end, and that's kind of like how I feel about Thomas Partey right now. Jorginho, I absolutely love as a substitute, and I love him for his leadership in the dressing room. He's just too slow, frankly. So word at the moment is that we're finalizing a $30 million euros deal for the 28-year-old Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad. So in a perfect world, that comes to a close in the next couple days, and he can start training as soon as possible. But I think that that'll be a big unlock for Declan Rice to still play that box-to-box style, but also not have to sit back in certain instances quite as far. Having him in the midfield, I think, will be really good. So overall, I'm super happy with how we played. We got Villa away next week, which will be a much tougher match than this was.
Yeah.
Villa beat West Ham 2-1. And the only goal they gave up was a pen. I didn't see what led to the pen, so I can't comment on that at all. But from what I did see, they looked good. We're seeing Jacob Ramsey get some minutes, which is cool. But I think that Aston Villa has a lot more to figure out on the lineup side of things, because I know they've kind of got 3, 4, or 5 positions that I know they were rotating a lot during preseason, but that's preseason. But I'm pretty sure they also used every single one of their subs against West Ham. So we'll kind of see what lineup they put together. Emi Martinez is a great keeper, so we've got our work cut out for us away at Villa this weekend. But I think it's going to be a really, really.
He loves playing Arsenal too.
I know, man.
Loves it. I wonder if at any point this season Arteta is going to change up the formation to give Saka that rest of whether it's going to be like a 4-4-2 diamond or even like a 5-4-1 or something where they can play a little bit more central players. Like I can see a world where if you do sign Merino, you play Partey, Merino, Rice, Odegaard as like your 4 diamond. And then, because like I even think about sometimes like the Barcelona, when you had like Xavi and Iniesta and Rakitic, like a lot of times those guys just played like a 4 diamond, or like Iniesta would float out to the left, but he's not like a winger, and I just think that at some point you are going to have to rest those wingers, and if you're not going to buy people to do that, you'll probably just have to change formations. But we'll see. Maybe he won't.
It's tough to think about looking at our midfield depth, and if we were to play a diamond in the middle, and we would want our wing midfielders, so to speak, in the diamond to get out wide in certain instances, Odegaard would play up top. And then if we have Declan Rice on one side, whichever side we put him in, if it's Thomas Partey or if it's Mikel Merino on the left or the right side, I just don't know how mobile of a midfield that's going to be. So It's almost like, do you play Kai and Gabriel Jesus up top and then put Martinelli in that left center mid position?
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity for that, but I would, or even Trossard, I think Trossard would do really well in a diamond formation on that left side. And then that would allow us to keep Kai and Martinelli up top, maybe spread a little further, and Odegaard pushes, a little bit higher. But no, I think there's definitely opportunity for that. But right now, at the beginning of the season, fitness of the guys that are going to be getting the most amount of minutes isn't as big of a worry right now as it'll be come halfway.
For sure.
Yeah, you're up against City and injuries. Like, for real. I don't know. It's if you keep everyone healthy, there's a world where you guys do really well. But you're I don't know if it's like lack of depth or what, but your key pieces, if they go down, that team looks completely different.
It does. Yeah, but I feel like our depth isn't bad.
No.
It's just like at that right wing position.
Yeah, it can get blown up.
Reece Nelson isn't gonna be doing anywhere near. He's just not that sub that you want. to be able to start a game or play, 75, 80 minutes. So we'll see what happens, but knock on wood, people are
the 3
doing their
points.
cooldowns.
You're going to hear this all year. 3 points is 3 points is 3 points is 3 points. Glancing on Liverpool Ipswich, it was the early game on Saturday. We had a Jota and Salah goal. I didn't get to really watch it. I didn't watch it. I didn't wake up for that. That really had not much interest for me. Hen, did you see anything out of Arnie Slot's Big Red Army? Anything notable that you can mention?
Not really. I will give a shout out to Trent, just playing some really great crosses in, passes in. It's what we can expect of him. There weren't really too many defensive lapses or defensive errors, but again, we're playing Ipswich. It's not that crazy. Salah just did Salah things. I think he tied. Flan, I'm just giving a shout out to you. This is me dipping into my really soccer ball knowledge here to give Liverpool any bit of credit. I think he tied Alan Shearer, Wayne Rooney, and maybe someone else, or maybe he just surpassed them of most goals and assists of Premier League opening weekend of all time. With both a goal and assist this weekend, which is just a cool stat. You have to play for a long time to do that. Liverpool didn't look all that dangerous until that 60-minute mark where they scored 2 in 5 minutes. So they'll look back on it the same way we're looking back on those 3 points this weekend of didn't play the best, weren't up to full season fitness, but 3 points is 3 points is 3 points. There wasn't too much structurally different that I noticed in Arnie Slot's setup than there was under Klopp. But granted, literally every single guy on that team is exactly the same. So it wasn't like they brought in a new signing and it changed things tactically. So got 3 points up and down. Maybe Butch would say something different, but it was a pretty boring game the first half. I was hate watching it, in the morning, hoping that Ipswich would do something cool. Ipswich has nothing, bro. They don't even have the attacking threat that Luton had. So I don't know how Ipswich is going to do this season. They don't have a lot of threats at all.
I think when the bias wears off, and I'm not willing to speak it into this pod yet and back it wholeheartedly, but when the bias wears off and Salah's gone, we're going to be able to look at him as one of the better wingers in the Premier League. Maybe. Don't quote me on it. And if we had a Liverpool guy on here, I'm sure that they'd be beating that drum. But the stats,
you can't argue the production. Yeah, you can't argue the production over the length of time. I just hate watching him. It's just funny, from just a footy fan perspective. There are some guys that when you watch them dribble, when you watch them pass, when you watch them shoot, when you watch them do something, you feel it. The feeling I get when I watch Neymar dribble, I'm like, fuck. Or Hazard dribble, you're like, whoa. KDB, when he plays those passes, you're like, Jesus. I just don't feel any of those ways when I watch Salah do anything. His style's just so weird, but you can't ignore the production that he's had over the last almost 10 years it's been now. There's a reason why he's been the Golden Boot winner as many times as he has, and he's breaking those records, but doesn't mean I have to like watching him or think that I don't know. Whatever.
Check back in with me when he leaves. We can rehab this conversation, but I'm kind of with you.
Yeah.
What most would consider the marquee matchup of the weekend was Chelsea at home to Man City. And, this one was interesting. To me, it felt like a City that wasn't really going crazy and doing City things, but it was just easy for them on both sides of the ball. But Chelsea were, kind of dangerous. I don't know. What did you guys think?
That's such a funny way to phrase it, because you look at last year and it was the same thing with Chelsea. They were kind of dangerous. They just happened to miss a million chances, and this was no different. I think, I don't know. I think Nico Jackson isn't bad. Genuinely. I feel that way. I think the biggest part or the biggest issue in his game is himself, meaning the goal that he scored was great. he was offsides, and he didn't need to be offsides.
No.
He was in acres of space, and granted, he was in the box, but like he was looking down the line. He could see the defender in front of him, and still just chose to be offsides. Like that's insane to me. But he scores that goal; it doesn't get called off. We're looking at a super different game. We're looking at a smash and grab of a Chelsea performance, and everyone's talking about this Maresca guy as maybe he's onto something. I did find a stat funny though during the game. I was talking with Anthony Russo before the game, and Russo's like a Chelsea guy, and he was like, "Do you think that Chelsea's going to do it?" I was like, "Absolutely not." And he's like, "But we kind of have like City's number, no?" And I was like, "I don't think so. Like maybe I don't think so."
No, that's
then,
Spurs thing.
During the game, it like said stats of like the last 7 games. Like between these two was like 7 wins for Manchester City and 3 ties, and then no wins for Chelsea. And it was just like, well, I don't think you have their number. No, I don't think that's the case. But yeah, just what a weird performance.
It was weird. And that Nico Jackson thing, like, there's a player in there. I know there's a player in there, and I think everyone who kind of has watched enough of him at this point would probably say the same. But seriously, he's, and I don't mean this negatively, but he's kind of just an idiot. Like the same way that we thought Darwin was kind of an idiot too. Like
that's such a good comparison.
Like like Darwin will score a random odd banger, piss missile, screamer from nothing. Jackson doesn't do that, and he doesn't score the tap ins. Like he sets himself up for failure, kind of. But there's a player and that's why I think a lot of the guys had Chelsea doing okay this year on their predicted table, and I see it. There's players in the squad that can take them to the next level and be really, really good and challenge for that.
It's just a similar story to the last 3 years now that like it goes back to like who they're buying. Like anybody with that kind of money can buy any player that they want for the most part, but it's not always about just buying the player. It's about like buying the right player. So yes, we look at the lineup, or we watch the game and we see a lot of individual bits of brilliance here and there, but it's like, do they have the right starting 11 anywhere in their 60-man roster that will play well enough together to get the results that their club has historically had. And I just don't think they do. I think they've got too many guys that would thrive in any other system than
Felix confirmed too.
Yeah, João Felix confirmed, and I think that's part of the Conor Gallagher deal, in order to get that done. But the thing is too is that it's a mix of these guys that maybe not be playing in the proper system or whatever it is, but they're just losing individual battles as well. Like the Twitter was blowing up about Kovacic scoring against his former team,
the $300 million midfield.
Yeah, literally. But you look at Caicedo and Enzo on that play in particular. How do you not take them down? It's a split-second decision, but like you gotta just be that guy,
or just run, or like look like you're gonna make more of an effort on the ball. They just stopped. Like neither.
Yeah, and that's where you have the problem.
Yeah,
like
who's the leader? Who's the captain?
Correct. And to be fair, I thought that Lavia had a great game. I thought that Romeo Lavia was great, and I think that if he was healthy all season last season, Chelsea might have been a little bit better than what they were last year. But yeah, to your point, who's going to be the starting 11 week in, week out? Like, you just have no idea, and how are people supposed to thrive in that environment? I don't know. It's incredible to me that they've spent as much as they have, and they still don't have guys that are like competing. A really like damning exercise that we could do, at some point. And if Nick were here, he may give a different opinion. But if we just put their starting 11 from this past weekend against your starting 11 at Arsenal, at Tottenham, at United, that lineup is so much more expensive than any of ours. But how many of them would make it into your starting 11?
And who are some of these cats? Like, there was a tweet, literally a guy was coming off the bench and someone was like, no, I'm dead serious. I have absolutely no clue who this guy is. Like, not heard of him previously. He's coming off the bench. It's the Chelsea, it's an experiment, dude. It's a psychological experiment. Like,
Yeah.
Carragher was like, where is João Felix gonna dress? Like, and
Yeah.
it's a joke, obviously, but like, how big are your locker rooms? Like, at some point,
Yeah.
seriously, like that's, I mean, that's not good for anybody's psyche. That's not good for anybody's mental. Do we see issues coming from off the field that plague them the rest of the year on the pitch?
And what are they telling them? Like what
Yeah.
blows
That's
my
what I
mind
was
is
just
like
like-
what are they telling these players who see the club and see that they already have 60 men rostered? Like there's no way they can be
Yeah.
telling every single one of these players that like
You'll get game
I know
time.
we've got a lot,
Yeah.
but you'll get game time because we're planning on releasing, literally half of the first team players that we have right now. And then on top of that, you look at younger players that are coming to like a close of their contracts or even ones that still have years left on their academy contracts. How do you not look at the first team and look at the way that it's being run and be like, there's no room for me here?
Yeah.
Because and I don't want to continue to play at a club like I feel like most academy players go to a certain academy depending on their skill level with the intention of wanting to play for that team's first team someday.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you not think they're just going to sell me off, as soon as I reach my peak youth academy value,
Dude.
it blows my mind. Like, I don't know. It feels very much like some Alabama college football type stuff they're doing in the background to like paying them more on the side or doing crazy things for them to get that. Like, who knows what it is, but as if I was an elite player, I don't know how you don't look at their roster and think this
Something
just
else.
isn't.
Yeah.
This just this just isn't going well. It's not working right. This isn't the way a team should be run. So,
Dude, those 18-year-old kids on the academy team are getting the same fab like Fabrizio transfer updates, and they're like, dude, we're never making it out, bro. Like, sitting at lunch at school, like, brother,
like,
we're not making this club. Like, So the Chelsea experiment will continue. I do again. I'm doubling down on. I expect them to do okay this season. I think if they do better than they did, but also.
I'm doubling down on Maresca being fired by Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even his fault at this point. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
It's one game in.
Yeah.
Lord. And then the true marquee game of the weekend. Yet again, Tottenham Hotspur strikes again. 1-1 away at Leicester. I had the pleasure of watching that today. Made a 2-hour meeting on my calendar. Sat there on Do Not Disturb and got angry at the TV again. Classic, boys. We're just having a really good time with it. Season's over before it even starts. Pack it up. Preseason champions. Kiss top
ready
4
for the
goodbye.
season to be over.
Yeah, you'll never sing that.
It's over. It's done. But, man, it's the same shit every year. For every game, every year, bro. It's unbelievable. This team has no balls. No balls. No cojones, no heart. They can't do it mentally. That it's just been something that I've watched for 18 months now. So, they're on the front foot the entire first half. They had 73% possession, and it wasn't just passing it around the back. There were dangerous chances over and over and over and over, and they threw all of them away. Matters was good. But also, who's going to be the guy to step up? Because it's not Sonny right now either. So Sonny has flashes of the old, the age-old Sonny we've always seen, everyone knows, loves. He's also had flashes of just complete and utter mediocrity, which is a huge bummer because that's the guy that you're kind of relying on. He's the club captain. Who's going to do it if he doesn't? There's no answer for that right now. I thought Dominic Solanke played really well, all things considered. He had, 2 or 3 shots on goal, 2 really good opportunities to score a goal. I'm not hanging this one on him. Pedro Porro, great little flick finish. But like also, brother, maybe defend the back post for once in your life. For one time, defend the back post. Please,
The
God.
meme you sent us earlier was so funny.
I wish the group could
Poro
see
one?
it.
Yeah.
Is it's a picture of Mickey Van de Ven with just a disgusted face, and then Pedro Porro in the bottom left corner smiling, and it says, "Pedro, please, mate, defend the far post." And he says, "Just got another 30-yard long shot. Let's go."
It's so funny.
And it's so accurate, dude. Like no one's expecting him to be this world-class defender, and I think we've all kind of recognized that he was really, in a 5-back system previously, he was that guy that was bombing up the wing and whipping balls, and that's what he's great at. Guy just needs to pay a little bit more attention on the back line. The goal they gave in was embarrassing. Like Jamie fucking Vardy, unmarked in the 6-yard box with a simple headed finish.
After walking out of the gate for the second half, chugging a Red Bull,
Dude.
37-year-old Jamie Vardy.
Tied for top goal scorer.
Dude, I texted Henry and Doves and was just like, I was laughing. I was like, of course it's him. Why would it not be him? It's always been him, bro. Like, it didn't, in the moment, it didn't even, like, really bother me. I was like, Spurs were so dominant. They were doing so well. Everything looked so great. I was like, that's hilarious. Please just score one more and let's wrap this up and get out of here. Didn't happen. Leicester just decided to turn on the Jets. Harry Winks is rolling back the years to his 2019 Real Madrid man of the match performance in the Champions League for Spurs out of fucking left field. It is just unbelievably frustrating. The goal went in and these guys completely shut down, completely stopped thinking. Everybody on the pitch lost it. That's the most disappointing part. Like, we do all these things. You have all this preseason. We know the tactics that Ange has and wants to implement, and we're seeing it. It's live. But like, have some fun getting some I don't know, some balls, dude. Just like close out a game, or take your opportunities when you get them. You have so many. That's what we do. That's what the style and system's supposed to be. You have to finish them. And then just to let one of the most prolific Premier League strikers, even in his old age, just walk a goal in. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Hard to watch.
So, and even, dude, I'll even mention his shithousery on the way out. It was fantastic. That's good for the Premier League. Man's pointing at the Premier League badge, holding up the number 1, and then pointing to the away section and saying 0, and then turning around and just telling Cudi Romero to fuck right off. So,
it's so funny.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I was so mad because I love Jamie Vardy. Like, all of that is so good for the league and so good I just pray to God somebody else gets Jamie Vardy this year, because it's driving me insane. We're in match week 1 and I'm full blown melting down on the podcast.
You're ready to jump off the bridge. Dude,
it makes it so hard to want to talk shit on Spurs too.
No, I was gonna say too, like, I didn't watch the game today because I was working, so like I haven't even seen highlights yet. So it's always funny listening to your reaction to the game without seeing highlights or without watching the game, because it makes me so excited to watch. I'm like, I can't wait to go watch highlights. Like, who's gonna lose his mind, bro?
I love Monica to death. My girlfriend's the best. She's so great, and she knows how this Tottenham thing goes. Like, she knows what happens when they lose. She knows what happens. She understands the emotional roller coaster that I ride every day. And she came in, saw 1-0. I was like, oh, they're winning, great. And then, hour later, it's 1-1. Game finishes 1-1. She's like, well, at least it wasn't a loss. And I was like, against one of the worst teams in the league. Against the newly promoted. And I was like, you're right.
You're right.
Away game. You should never be losing that game. You should never be losing that game, bro. Just punch me in the face. But highlights. Lucas Bergvall is going to be a star. I'm just letting you guys know that right now, on record, first podcast of the season. Lucas Bergvall is going to be a baller. Sean Hughes texted me. Sean O was just like, who the hell is this Swedish kid? He's sick. And I was like, I know. He's like, I've seen the 2 minutes that he's been on the pitch, and I had to send you this text. I was like, ball knower. You, me, population us. I think he's going to be incredible. And, Bentancur got knocked out cold today, so I hope he's okay. But I hope we see him. Like, he came in and did pretty well. And for an 18-year-old, he made a naive mistake or two. But for the most part, bro, he's so slick with it. Really, really looking forward to his progression and where he goes. But, Brennan Johnson's whatever, guys, mid. Timo Werner's a backup mid option. Sonny's not playing well. Richie had to come in off the left. Should never really play off the left. Just wasn't awesome today. So
yeah, feel that. I can't wait to watch the highlights. I was really excited to watch that Bergwall kid as well. When he got signed, in January of last year, I was so interested in it. I'm like, that feels like not a Spurs signing. How did Archie Gray do?
Fine. I think he's going to have to, it's a learning curve for 18-year-olds at the end of the day. I think they're going to have to, grow into it. But he was okay. He did kind of what he needed to do, lost possession once or twice, but a couple really solid track back tackles, things you want out of a 6 and kind of what we understand about him as a player. He's, both sides of the ball, but not necessarily a killer up top. So good. They neither of them played super long. Kulusevski came in for Matters at the 10, and he looks kind of dangerous most of the time, but also his decision making is the decision making of a winger kind of thing. It's like it's the skill set is there. He's got the skills to be a 10, but he doesn't have the passing range and he can't use his right foot. So we're tiptoeing on eggshells on that one. So it's just dude. Just unbelievably frustrating first game.
I feel that from you.
I'm so excited to watch Everton at home, who could also just blank us for all I know. It's just Everton. But we move. Season's not over. Top 4's the goal. Win me a trophy. None of that collapsed today. We're here.
Maybe.
One point is 1 point is 1 point.
Yeah, like we always say.
We are above Chelsea on the table. So,
say
what you want about it.
God, we were top of the table for 12 hours. It was so sick,
dude.
It was so sick.
Let me tell you, when we were October champions last year, I was above the moon, bro.
Yeah, I bet, bro. I bet.
All right. Well, I think this wraps the episode. It was a pretty quick one. Had to fire through, get you all of our thoughts on the Premier League this weekend, and a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of things coming up. Make sure to follow us on all of our social accounts, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter. All have been pretty active. Winks has got some sick new graphics that we've been popping off. This guy's just a magician on the computer. In Photoshop. I don't know anything about it. Don't even really know what you do, but you kill it. So congrats on that. Mecca 20 at Manscaped. Don't ever forget that either. Go ahead and get yourself free shipping and 20% off of any any Manscaped product. Put a little more cash in our pockets, please. And
Hen needs a house next.
Yeah. Get Hen the house next. He'll be the Manscaped house recipient. Yeah. If we get some more orders from you listeners. So, as always, thank you for joining us. Thanks for getting this far. Mecca of Banter, tapping out. Cheers, lads.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, boys.